We're also following another big story and major developments in the Israel-Hamas war. Overnight, Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced the U.S. submitted a draft resolution to the UN Security Council calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza tied to the release of more hostages. The U.S. has previously vetoed any resolution that called for a pause in the war. Right now, Blinken is in Egypt, where he met with the president there, al-Sisi, before he travels to Israel tomorrow to meet with Israeli officials. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson said this morning he is going to invite Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to deliver an address to a joint session of Congress as new aid packages remain stuck on Capitol Hill. Joining us now is NBC's Raf Sanchez in Tel Aviv. Also with us, Evelyn Farkas, Executive Director of the McCain Institute, former senior advisor to the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. Raf, what more can you tell us about this new U.S.-led resolution?
So, Jose, in just the last couple of minutes, NBC News has obtained the language of this resolution, and it is by far the strongest of anything we have seen from the U.S. at the UN Security Council so far. It calls for an immediate and sustained ceasefire in Gaza tied to the release of those remaining hostages. Now, compare that to previous language the U.S. has been circulating, where they called for a temporary ceasefire as soon as practicable. So there is a real sense of urgency in this latest draft of the resolution that we have not seen previously from the United States. We should be clear that while the U.S. has vetoed 3 previous UN Security Council resolutions calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, this isn't a complete 180. Those resolutions said an end to the fighting with or without a hostage deal. This resolution hinges that ceasefire on a hostage deal coming together from those talks underway right now in Qatar. But this is still a very marked shift. It shows the Biden administration really feeling the heat, both at home and abroad, to do more to address the suffering in Gaza. And Jose, this is also kind of a way for the U.S. to pile pressure on everybody sitting around that negotiating table in Doha, the Israelis, Hamas, and the Qataris, to say, look, it is the will of the international community at this point that you get together, that you make a deal that gets the hostages out, that gets humanitarian aid in, that pauses the fighting, and hopefully leads to an enduring and a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Jose.
Yeah, I mean, Evelyn, the Biden administration has been increasing the pressure on Israel specifically to try and avoid them invading Rafah and push towards a new ceasefire deal. What do you make of the administration's recent messaging here?
I mean, I think, Jose, they're really coming out much more publicly and much more strongly against an offensive in Rafah, and frankly, you know, against the way the IDF has been fighting the war. They are essentially saying, stop, this is not a way to bring the hostages home. And they're responding to a couple of things. I mean, one, clearly, whatever they were saying behind the scenes, because I did have information that they were behind the scenes trying to tell the Israelis to, you know, use tactics that are less of a big, you know, hammer, if you will, and be more precise, and frankly, to transition to peace talks and get the hostages out. So now they've gone public. They've also been responding, I think, to probably a bit of a coordinated effort with the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Schumer, who very clearly made a political statement with regard to Israel and how and what's happening with Gaza and the future, of course, outcome here. So I think they're trying to move some more levers towards a hostage release and then ultimately a peace deal, if you will. And you see this new, you know, shuttle diplomacy by the Secretary of State putting real power and also real initiatives like bringing humanitarian aid to Gaza, separate from the Israelis and separate, frankly, from Hamas. These are real kind of power plays to try to move the needle here and change the dynamic.
And Evelyn, I want to turn to the war in Ukraine right now. You're in Kyiv. This morning, for the first time in 44 days, that city came under attack. What's it like there?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are they're tired because most of us were, you know, in a shelter last night, a bomb shelter. Not everyone has beds in those shelters, so People are tired and they're annoyed, but they also understand that when Russia undertakes this kind of attack, it's because Russia is feeling like it needs to take revenge. And there are a couple things that Russia could be taking revenge for. The Ukrainian forces have taken out a number of Russia's oil refineries. Some estimates say as much as 8% reduction in Russian oil exports might result because of the strikes that the Ukrainians have conducted inside Russian territory. So it could be revenge because of that. The Ukrainians have also taken down a special Russian aircraft that helped with intelligence and surveillance, helped essentially identify the civilian and other targets that the Russians use here to target people in Kyiv, and elsewhere. So because the Russians essentially shot that aircraft down, which was an expensive and important capability, this could also be revenge for that. We don't really know, but obviously people don't want the Russians to keep lobbing missiles towards Kyiv. It's clearly, disruptive.
Ralph Sanchez and Evelyn Farkas, thank you both so very much. Appreciate it.